Yeah, he get to carry on this greatness.
We have our boy.
He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He got to. Another victory for Big Dog. Big Dog doing another victory for Dog. Yeah.
What he did, torture. He poured gasoline on her. He wanted to kill her.
My sister was fully naked when she ran out the house and ran to a nearby neighbor house to get help. How do you let somebody out that did that to somebody? How do you let them out?
This is a story of heartbreak, betrayal, and a chilling turn of events that no one could have foreseen. The man in handcuffs you see here, once celebrating the birth of his son, would soon become the prime suspect in a horrifying series of murders that shocked the quiet neighborhood of Harper Woods, Michigan. Just days before his arrest, Jonathan had been seen rejoicing in the hospital, sharing moments of joy with his newborn son and his lover, 22-year-old Zleah Frazier, a young woman full of dreams and ambition. Zleah, an aspiring nurse and loving mother, had her entire life ahead of her. But 2 days later, on July 10, 2022, her life was tragically cut short. What started as a time of celebration quickly descended into chaos and violence. Jonathan didn't just end Zleah's life, he went on a rampage, taking the lives of his own parents as well. A family torn apart by the shocking violence that no one could have predicted. How did a joyous occasion turn into an unspeakable tragedy? What led to Jonathan's unthinkable actions? This is the tragic story of a new mother's life stolen far too soon, leaving a trail of devastation that would change everything for those left behind. But before we get to how Zleah's killer, the father of her child, was caught, let's rewind to the start of this tragic story. This story takes us to Detroit, Michigan, the birthplace of the U.S. auto industry. For most of the last century, more cars were built in Detroit than anywhere else in the world. The city is also celebrated for its distinctive Motown sound, born from the legendary recording label that shaped American music. Detroit's history is one of innovation, resilience, and cultural influence, and it is against this backdrop that the life of 22-year-old Zleah Frazier unfolds. Born on March 13, 2000 in Michigan, Zleah was known for her kind heart and positive spirit, always striving to uplift those around her. Zleah was deeply loved by her family. She was the daughter of Trina Harris, a mother who adored her daughter and did everything she could to support Zleah's dreams. Zleah was also a sister to 6 siblings with whom she shared a close bond. It was clear that family meant everything to her. Zleah's mother, Trina, shared stories of how Zleah will often fill up any room with her laughter and energy. Zleah always remained focused on what was most important: her family, her future, and of course, her beloved son. Zleah grew up in Detroit, Michigan, a city with a rich history, but also one plagued by high crime rates. Despite the difficulties of the city, Zleah remained determined to make something of herself. She graduated from Warren Lincoln High School, where she was not only known for her positive attitude, but also for her leadership. After high school, Zleah's ambition did not waver. She went on to pursue a career in healthcare, inspired by her brother's fight against cancer and her sister's battle with cerebral palsy. Zleah dreamed of becoming a nurse, wanting to help others the way she had seen her family support one another.
That's why she wanted to become a nurse.
This dream was the driving force behind her hard work and dedication. At the time of her death, Zleah was running her own boutique, where she sold shoes, purses, and clothing. As the CEO of her business, Zleah worked tirelessly to build something that could support her and her son. Her boutique became not just a way to make a living, but also a reflection of her creativity and passion for entrepreneurship. Those who knew her described Zleah as a driven and loving person who always put others first. So it came as a shock when Zleah would cross paths with a man who only had the most gruesome plans for her. Zleah's relationship with her boyfriend, 23-year-old Jonathan Welch, was long-term, having been together since 2014.
Oh, handsome black man. Hey, Daddy.
Hey, big kid.
Though the couple had a child together, their relationship was complicated. Like many couples, they had their ups and downs, but they shared a love for their son. a beautiful boy who meant everything to Zelaya. The birth of their child seemed to renew their commitment to each other. Jonathan was overjoyed when he learned they would be having a baby boy. The news filled him with pride, and he eagerly embraced the responsibilities expected of any devoted father. He expressed his love openly, making it clear that he wanted nothing but the best for his son and was determined to be present in every way possible.
Yeah, he get to carry on this greatness.
We have our boy.
He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He gotta be great. He got to. Another victory for Big Dog. Big Dog doing it. Another victory for Dog. Yeah.
And in return, Zelaya showered Jonathan with love. In October 2020, she took to Facebook to celebrate their 6-year anniversary. In her heartfelt post, she reflected on the journey they had shared, the joyful moments, the tears, the arguments, and even the times they felt anger toward one another. Yet through it all, they had never separated. She described Jonathan as the love of her life and praised him for being an incredible father. Friends, curious about the strength of their bond, asked how they had managed to stay together for so long. Her answer was simple but profound. Little did she know that trust would be broken in the most evil way. Jonathan's behavior began with occasional bursts of violence, moments that seemed small at first but carried heavy consequences. His growing insecurity marked the beginning of the end. He became increasingly suspicious, questioning her about who left comments on her social media posts or who liked her pictures. What might have seemed like minor jealousy quickly spiraled into controlling behavior. But sadly, things would escalate far beyond anyone's imagination. On June 2nd, what started as an ordinary day turned into a nightmare for Zelaya. Jonathan had demanded that she unlock her phone so he could go through it. When she refused, his anger boiled over. He wrapped a cord around her neck, tightening it again and again, desperate to force her compliance. Even as she resisted giving him the password, his rage only grew more dangerous. The violence intensified. He proceeded to pour gasoline on her, then used a heated metal spatula to touch her arms and legs. He struck her repeatedly with a belt, threatened her with a drill, and attempted to sexually assault her with a large pole. The attack stretched on for nearly 4 hours, each moment more terrifying than the last. But Zelaya wasn't going down without a fight. In the midst of this brutality, she managed to convince Jonathan to remove the extension cord so she could attend to their crying child. That brief moment of compassion gave her the chance she needed. Naked and terrified, she ran to a neighbor's home, where she was given a blanket to cover herself. The neighbors immediately called 911, offering her safety and protection while she waited for help. But Jonathan wasn't done. He chased her down to the neighbor's house and even attempted to kick down the neighbor's door, but fled before police arrived. But this would only be the beginning of the crazy series of events about to take place. Jonathan was later charged with a long list of serious crimes. You'd think that this would be enough to straighten out Jonathan, right? Well, it wouldn't, because he was out to commit murder. By June 12th, Jonathan's bond was already set at $100,000. Under the terms of the bond, only 10% was required in cash to secure his release. That meant the amount needed was $10,000. One of the strict conditions attached to his bond was that he was not to have any contact with his girlfriend, Zelaya, a rule meant to protect her while the case moved forward. Weeks later, Jonathan would be out of jail. On July 8th, Jonathan's mother managed to raise the $10,000 required. With the support of both his mother and father, Jonathan was bonded out of the Wayne County Jail. But the relief of freedom came quickly. Just 2 days after his mother secured his release, events would take another turn, setting the stage for what would follow next in this unfolding case. On July 10, 2022, police would respond to a report of someone being held against their will at a house near Kenosha and Sanilac Streets. The call came from none other than Jonathan's mother, Flossie Nicole Bray, who had managed to escape the house after being brutally stabbed multiple times by her son. Flossie had managed to flee the home and collapsed at a neighbor's house, with the knife still embedded in her back. But when the police arrived on the scene, Jonathan refused to open the door. A standoff ensued, and Jonathan's erratic behavior escalated further.
The third victim of a tragic family attack in Harper Woods has died tonight. The suspect is facing a slew of charges.
The incident unfolded inside a home on Kenosha earlier this month, just days after the suspect was released on bond. 7 Action News reporter Kim Russell spoke with the victim's loved ones.
A man was arraigned here at District Court in Harper Woods on the third murder he is accused of committing while out on bond. The loved ones of one of his victims are speaking out, hoping her story saves your life or the life of someone you know.
Zelaya wanted the best for everybody. She was a true sweetheart. Zelaya loved her son. She loved him so much. That was her world.
Right on time.
In this video, Quazon Frazier sees love as his younger sister Zelaya sings karaoke with him while holding her now 1-year-old son, Sammy.
When I see you.
In a shocking act of cruelty, he tossed his 1-year-old son out of the window of the house, leaving the child to cry helplessly in the driveway. Thankfully, police were able to rescue the child and bring him to safety, but Jonathan's evil plan was only getting bolder. As the standoff continued, Jonathan set the house on fire, further complicating the already dire situation. Smoke and flames billowed from the building as police and firefighters worked together to contain the blaze while trying to maintain control of the standoff. Throughout the tense standoff, Jonathan continued to fire shots at the officers, further proving the danger and unpredictability of his violent behavior. After 7 hours of negotiation and tension, 23-year-old Jonathan Welch finally surrendered to the police. Cell phone video from a neighbor captured the moment he crawled down the front steps of the house and was taken into custody by officers. The authorities had to act quickly, knowing the severity of the situation. But once inside the house, officers would make a grim discovery. They found the bodies of Zelaya Frazier and Robert Bray Jr., Jonathan's stepfather, both of whom had been killed by blunt force trauma. The crime scene was horrific, with the brutality of the attack leaving the community in disbelief. Jonathan's mother, Flossie, was rushed to the hospital with critical injuries, but she tragically died from her stab wounds a few days later, becoming the third victim of Jonathan's evil outburst.
Harper Woods man now facing charges in the death of his mother, to go along with many other charges at the moment. 23-year-old Jonathan Welch, accused of stabbing 42-year-old Flossie Bray. This happened July 10th during what turned out to be a barricaded situation at her home. Police say Bray escaped with a knife in her back, looking for help. That's when police showed up. The standoff began, but earlier this week she died from her wounds. Welch already facing charges for killing his girlfriend and stepfather on that same day.
Jonathan Welch was taken into custody and charged with a multitude of offenses, including 2 counts of first-degree murder, 4 counts of assault with intent to murder, 1 count of second-degree arson, 7 counts of felony assault, and 6 felony firearm violations. Jonathan Welch's actions not only resulted in the deaths of his girlfriend, his stepfather, and his mother, but also traumatized a community and a family that had already endured so much pain due to his previous violent behavior. During his arraignment, Jonathan Welch was denied bond, a decision that came as a relief to the victim's family. His previous release on bond was seen as a major failure of the justice system, one that allowed him to escalate his violence to the point of murder. Family members of Zelaya Frazier and the other victims expressed their deep frustration and anger at the decision to release Jonathan just days before the killings.
He killed my sister. He killed my sister. They should never let him out of prison. Her ex, he had just got out. He was out on the tether torturing her, and they let him out of jail.
They believed that he should have never been given such a lenient bond, given his violent history. As the legal process continued, Jonathan's family, the police, and the community awaited his trial. The case sparked conversations about domestic violence, the importance of taking threats seriously, and the failures of the criminal justice system in addressing repeat offenders.
I want women across the world to know that abuse is not love.
Abuse is not love.
Zelaya Frazier's family, especially her mother and siblings, were devastated by the loss of a young woman who had so much potential, so many dreams, and a future ahead of her.
Driven, she was smart, beautiful. But why?
You're sick. I hope you ride. I hope you ride in jail for the rest of your life.
Jonathan Welch sat almost expressionless, hearing the absolutely devastating pain the family of the people he murdered cannot escape because of his malicious actions to take the lives of multiple people.
Why? Just why do that to my big sister that I love so much? You even have a soul, Jonathan? Do you? Do you know what you killed your own mother?
Prosecutors say in the summer of 2022, 24-year-old Natayla Morse was found dead, Welch accused of killing her. Welch was then charged with torturing and sexually assaulting his ex-girlfriend, Zalea Frazier.
Zalaya's family and friends were vocal in their demands for justice, hoping that Jonathan would be held accountable for the pain and suffering he had caused. Zalaya's mother, Trina Harris, expressed her heartbreak over the senseless murder of her daughter and the fact that she would never see Zalaya again. She also expressed the hope that the case would shine a light on the issue of domestic violence, hoping that other women would be inspired to leave abusive relationships before it was too late. Once Jonathan was in custody, the next step was to bring him before a judge. This was an important moment in the case, as it would set the tone for the legal proceedings that would follow. The arraignment was a solemn occasion for the families of the victims, as they hoped the justice system would serve them and the memories of their loved ones well. Throughout late 2022 and into 2023, Jonathan appeared in court multiple times as prosecutors built their case. The hearings focused on the brutality of the attacks and the fact that they occurred while Jonathan was out on bond. Family members of the victims attended these proceedings, often delivering emotional statements about the preventable nature of the tragedy.
It hurts because we let him in. And he took something from us that he can't give back. I worry about his soul.
In July 2023, Jonathan entered a guilty plea to 3 counts of second-degree murder. By admitting responsibility, he avoided a lengthy trial but confirmed the devastating reality for the victims' families. Prosecutors emphasized that his plea did not lessen the gravity of the crimes, noting that Jonathan had already been serving a separate sentence of up to 30 years for the earlier torture and assault charges against Zalaya. On November 1, 2023, Jonathan stood before Wayne County Circuit Judge Margaret Van Houten for sentencing. The courtroom was filled with grief and anger as family members delivered victim impact statements. Zalaya's mother spoke of her daughter's bright future and the pain of losing both her child and grandchild, as Zalaya had been a young mother herself.
My daughter Zalea Frazier lived to tell me the horrible things he did to her. He treated her like she was nothing but trash. 39 days later, my daughter Zalea was dead. I tried so hard to keep this monster away from my daughter for years, yet I failed.
Judge Van Houten sentenced Welch to 45 to 70 years in prison for the murders. The sentence was ordered to run consecutively with his earlier 30-year sentence, ensuring that Jonathan will spend the rest of his life behind bars. The case reignited debates about Michigan's bond system, with critics arguing that Jonathan should never have been released given the severity of his prior charges. For the families of the victims, the sentencing brought a measure of justice, though the loss remains immeasurable. Zalaya's siblings and loved ones organized vigils and events in her honor, paying tribute to the young woman whose life was so tragically cut short. They wanted to keep her memory alive and ensure that others knew the dangers of staying in an abusive relationship.
The community comes together tonight to honor a mother murdered this week in Harper Woods. Police say that 22-year-old mother died during a violent rampage on July 10th. Her boyfriend is the accused killer, and he was out on bond for trying to kill her just days before. Tonight, many people gathered in Warren to remember her. Megan Woods joins us live from Lincoln High School. And Megan, I know you spoke to family members who are also calling for justice.
They are about 100 family and friends met here at Lincoln High School, where Zalea attended just a few years ago and graduated. And tonight they were all wearing purple, her favorite color, and reflecting on the life that she was just beginning.
She didn't have to die. The system failed her.
22-year-old Zalea Frazier's mother is in tears as she faces what led to her daughter's murder.
There's nothing that can bring my sister back. There's nothing that somebody can say, no apology that's going to bring my sister back that hurts.
She was a beautiful woman with a beautiful soul, very courageous, very outgoing.
And loved by family and friends.
The turnout itself made me emotional, my sister, just to see that she was this well loved and liked. And it just means a whole lot to me, this many people coming out.
They prayed together.
Amen.
And cried together. It's a pain this family doesn't want others to have to go through.
And I want all of y'all young folks to know abuse is not love.
Everyone wish they could have helped my sister.
Zalaya's story became a symbol of the importance of recognizing the signs of domestic violence and seeking help before it was too late. The case quickly became a point of contention in the community, and discussions about the treatment of domestic violence cases in the legal system gained momentum. Prosecutors were firm in their stance, calling Jonathan's actions cowardly and predatory. They outlined the brutality of his actions, from the torture and abuse of Zalea to the subsequent murders of his own family members. The fact that he had been allowed to post bond in the first place was viewed by many as a tragic oversight, one that allowed Welch to continue his reign of terror with devastating consequences.
10,000 is easy to come up with. It's people that steal something from a store that would get more than 10,000. You torture somebody, you sexual assaulted somebody, and you got out with paying $10,000.
Zalaya's mother, Trina Harris, spoke passionately about the loss of her daughter. She reflected on Zalaya's dreams of becoming a nurse and how she was taken away just as she was beginning to fulfill her potential. Trina shared her heartbreak and the heartbreak of her family, knowing that Zalaya would never get the chance to live out the future she had envisioned. At the same time, the community rallied together to support the victims' families. There was a palpable sense of outrage over the fact that Jonathan Welch had been given a second chance, only to use it to commit even more heinous acts of violence.
23 years old, a time bomb. And I'm not saying that the magistrate or judge could have predicted that, but with the charges and the nature of the charges, it should have been apparent that society needed big protection.
The story of Zalea Frazier is not only about a young mother whose life was stolen, but also about the systemic failures that allowed her killer to walk free. Jonathan Welch had already been charged with torturing and assaulting her, yet he was released on bond, a decision that would prove fatal. Her murder, alongside the deaths of Jonathan's own mother and stepfather, forced Michigan's justice system to confront uncomfortable questions. How could someone accused of such violent crimes be allowed back into the community? And how many tragedies must occur before bail reform becomes more than just a talking point? As Jonathan now serves a sentence of 45 to 70 years, the families of the victims are left with grief that no court ruling can erase. For Zalaya's loved ones, justice feels incomplete, because true justice would have meant her living to raise her child, to continue her journey, and to fulfill the promise of her future. Her case is a stark reminder that behind every headline is a human being, and behind every statistic is a family forever changed. Zalea deserved more than headlines and hearings. She deserved a life. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.